One thing that I don't understand is all the men that were in my life, like friends that were men, my ex-husbands, um, my brothers, um, neighbors, co-workers, bosses, all that. The men in my life, I never understood this. And I finally, through all the therapy and everything I've gone through, I've come to realize that all the men that were in my life from my past, all were just trying to be princesses. None of them were real men who wanted to be strong and there for me. They all just wanted from me. And they all just acted like princesses. One of them was one of my husbands. I had gotten him a job at City where I worked. I worked at City Mortgage, and I was the breadwinner for a while. When we first got married, I met him in a cult, in a church. And, I had fallen in love with him and his 3 children. And I thought, oh, I can fix him. You know how that is, right? And I was telling myself, no, I'm not thinking that way. I just have truly fallen in love with him. And we were in leadership at the church, everyone was a leader in this cult. But I realized that through this whole healing journey that he used me. He was like, I met him in this cult. He knew it was a cult. And he went to this church to find someone like me, someone who was innocent and loving, and who wanted to take care of his children, who wanted to be his wife and take care of his family. That's why he went to the church in the first place, was to find someone like me, and he did. And he latched on to me like nobody's business. And he manipulated me. When we first got married, I even got him a job at City. He was fired like a month later because he had lied about something on his application, which to this day I still don't know the whole true story of that situation. But it made me look like an idiot. It showed my boss and the people that I worked with what an ass my husband was. And I had just married him. And I got him this job because he was having a hard time finding a good job that would pay him good money. And it never really dawned on me until now, through my healing journey, how he really did manipulate me. And my eyes just were opened because I was like, man, he did go into that church looking for somebody to take care of his kids. And which, I fit the bill perfectly for him. And then we were married for about, we got married in 1998. And then we got divorced in 2009. So I was so blind to it all. Because I'm thinking, we're in the church, which we called, it was the kingdom of God. And, it was a cult. It really was. And it actually is registered as a cult. But, and how the leadership in that church allowed that to happen. Really, it sickens me. And when I go to think about it, it's like, because now I'm looking back, I was autistic and I didn't know it. But I'm sure other people could see in me my nativity. But no one ever said or did anything. Do you know what I mean? Like it just was set up. But so in our agreement, we had an agreement after we got married that after he was fired from City and escorted off the premises, And we're not going to get into how that made me feel because you can imagine. I was pulled into my manager's office where she literally sat down with me and she's like, you know that church you belong to is a cult. And, I'm here for you if you really need help getting out of it. And, that really made me feel bad. Because here I was. I'm like, I thought I was doing the right thing. Marrying a man to help take care of his kids. I'm in this church and I had Bible studies, people coming to my house. I was in leadership. We were doing it, man. We were fighting the fight. You know what I mean? Like we were what I thought was the right thing. But man, was I duped. Because in our agreement, after we got married and he was getting somewhere, and I was like, you know what? If you join the Navy, go back to the Navy. And we decided he'd go back into the reserves. And once he reached lieutenant commander status, then I could go back to school. Because I always wanted to go to school for biochemistry and forensics. And so once he got his lieutenant commander status and, he did his thing and got up there, and I went to the community college for 2 years, or maybe it was a year. In 2007, I got my associate's degree. And then so I was like, okay, now it's time for me to go to the big university. And I registered for school in July of 2008. And in October of 2008, I caught my husband cheating on me. God only knows how long it's been going on. But, you see, we made a plan. Once he got his lieutenant commander status, I could go back to school. But as soon as I started going back to school, he fucking out of there, man. He's out of there. He's like, I'm out of here, The kids are grown. I don't give a fuck about you. That's what happened. That's the honest truth. And so there's so many things that went on after that just you're going to read about in my book. But he's very bitter towards me and angry towards me for something that he decided to do. Make that make sense, please. So again, I ask you, why are all the men from my past life always wanting to be princesses?